You think strength requires display, yet quiet hands move the board. Someone rises without entering the race, you keep watching closely. Listen carefully, the open contest is bait designed to drain you. Competing openly invites surveillance. Surveillance reduces freedom, and freedom creates leverage. Leverage grows when your moves are fewer, cleaner, and harder to predict. Prediction dies when you stop sharing tempo and start defining conditions. The strongest minds refuse the stage and redesign the room. They choose terms first, timing second, and visibility last. This order turns pressure into background noise and attention into currency. Attention must be spent, not sprayed across every challenge you face. Sprayed attention buys exhaustion. Targeted attention buys quiet authority. Understand the trap of public contests. Public contests reward performance, not structure, and performance leaks energy. Leaked energy invites more tests, because instability smells like opportunity. You will not perform for approval, you will perform for alignment. Alignment means your rules, incentives, and boundaries form one stable system. Systems outlast performers because systems do not chase applause. When applause stops, unsecured performers collapse. When applause stops, stable systems keep compounding silently. The quiet player owns three assets: rhythm, frame, and access. Rhythm decides emotional tempo, frame decides meaning, access decides resource flow. If you enter another person's rhythm, you borrow their frame. If you borrow their frame, you accept their scoreboard. Their scoreboard always punishes your strengths and rewards your leaks. So you refuse the contest until the scoreboard belongs to you. Ownership of evaluation precedes ownership of outcome. Evaluation rules are the invisible crown of real power. Start by slowing time before any decision. Slow breath, slow eyes, slow sentences, then choose the smallest effective move. Smallest effective moves avoid noise while shifting the largest variable. Shift definitions, shift scope, or shift timing never argue volume. Volume creates drama, drama breeds mistakes, and mistakes feed loud competitors. The quiet path denies them drama and starves their energy loops. When their loops starve, they offer you concessions to restart excitement. You will accept concessions only when they cement your structural advantage. Learn the rule of entry conditions. Never enter a discussion without clear standards, timelines, and review cadence. Standards prevent endless renegotiation. Timelines punish delay games. Cadence exposes drift. Drift is where open competitions silently steal months of attention. Attention lost to drift cannot create leverage anywhere else. So you state conditions calmly, then hold silence until conditions exist. Silence here is oxygen control, not unfriendly distance. Oxygen control reduces wildfire emotions and restores measurable thinking. Refuse bait framed as urgency. Urgency compresses thought and makes weak offers feel necessary. You counter urgency with staged checkpoints and reversible steps. Reversibility removes fear, which removes leverage from the loud side. When fear leaves the room, pressure loses its main weapon. Then your calm criteria begin to look like leadership. People trust standards that survive heat more than charisma that appears during heat. Your standards must remain identical before and after tension rises. Use language that closes loops cleanly. Short sentences end hooks, and ended hooks deny reframing. Endings matter more than beginnings when noise is high. Say this path requires clarity, otherwise it pauses today. Say decisions follow data, not volume or speed. Say access increases when structure holds, not when emotion spikes. Each line signals that cooperation is available only at your cadence. Cadence owned is power owned without visible struggle. Separate stimulus from story in real time. Stimulus is what occurred, story is what your mind invented. Competitors attack your story because stories are soft. You protect your state by labeling sensations neutrally, then asking for data. Neutral labeling prevents spirals, data cuts through theater quickly. Theater hates definition because definition ends spotlight loops. You do not call out theater, you dissolve it with measurement. Measurement is the quietest weapon in power psychology. Practice selective visibility. Show progress only when momentum is irreversible and interference cannot reverse it. Silence during building protects fragile structures from envy and sabotage. Visible wins should look effortless because effort happened off-stage. Effortless appearances create myths, and myths attract cooperation. Cooperation earned through myth requires fewer explanations and fewer defenses. Fewer defenses free attention for design, not damage control. Design compounds, damage control drains. Master the refusal that respects dignity. Respect keeps doors unlocked even after disagreement. Say this does not meet our standard, we can revisit after verification. Then disengage without heat and repeat language if tested again. Repetition signals finality. Finality teaches how to approach next time. Teaching through atmosphere is faster than teaching through argument. Atmosphere becomes law when maintained consistently under pressure. Law without force is the signature of unseen authority. Map incentives before you move pieces. People do not resist you, they protect incentives you ignored. Change incentives and resistance softens without confrontation. You change incentives by adjusting timing, workload, visibility, or risk distribution. Redistribution done quietly feels like relief to others. Relief converts opponents into neutral observers and neutrals into allies. Alliances formed through relief outlast alliances formed through fear. Fear fades when surveillance reduces, relief scales when structure spreads. Use delayed recognition to neutralize egos. Let others receive credit while your design remains embedded. Credit satisfies pride, design secures leverage. Pride spends attention on display, design spends attention on architecture. Architecture continues working when spotlight moves away. Spotlights move, architecture stays, power belongs to what stays. Therefore, you can afford silence after victories. Silence after victories reads as stability, not indifference. Practice emotional minimalism, especially under provocation. Minimal expression denies entry points for manipulation. You acknowledge, you define, you continue without theatrical defense. Defense invites escalation, definition invites closure. Closure ends loops, and ended loops release attention. Released attention returns to design, your real battlefield. The battlefield inside you must stay orderly and quiet. Inner order makes outer noise irrelevant. Remember the visibility tax. Every public contest charges a fee in clarity, time, and goodwill. Pay that fee only when the prize rewrites long-term structure. If the prize is applause, decline with gratitude and continue building. Applause is sweet, but compounding is sweeter. Compounding needs silence, patience, and standards. These three build a reputation for inevitability. Inevitability outvalues performance in any serious arena. Sometimes you appear to concede while actually preserving initiative. Apparent concession lowers tension and unlocks hidden information channels. Information beats position because position changes and information predicts change. You trade small visible ground to gain large invisible maps. Maps reveal routes that competitions never notice. Once routes are clear, you move when others are resting. Movement without resistance looks like destiny to outside eyes. Destiny is often disciplined, timing in polite disguise. Test everything through the lens of energy economy. Ask, does this action multiply leverage or simply display effort? Ask, does this reply increase structure or only reduce discomfort? Ask, does this meeting protect bandwidth or bleed attention slowly? These questions guard the empire of your focus. Focus is the throne where unseen rulers sit. Leave the throne and performers steal your audience. Stay seated and builders bring you blueprints. Your posture must lengthen as pressure rises. Length signals safety, safety signals status, status signals low reactivity. Low reactivity rewires how people speak around you. They become measured because your atmosphere punishes chaos gently. Gentle punishment is withdrawal of attention, not display of anger. Attention withdrawal is the hardest boundary and the easiest to enforce. Where attention leaves, influence starves quickly. Where attention returns, order appears quickly. Keep your inner narrator neutral and spare. Use simple labels, then choose the smallest next structural move. Do not dramatize setbacks, convert them into design adjustments. Design adjustments save face without public explanations. Saving face for others secures future cooperation. Cooperation offered freely travels farther than cooperation demanded. Distance traveled without friction becomes your reach. Reach defines power more than volume ever will. This is why the most powerful rarely compete openly. Open competition validates a frame they did not author. They prefer authorship to victory because authorship chooses victories by design. When you write the frame, you rarely need to raise your voice. Voices rise when structures are weak. Structures speak quietly and keep speaking after everyone goes home. Build structures that decide outcomes while you remain still. Stillness becomes your signature and your shield. Now consider a final twist that most ignore. What if your refusal to compete openly is itself a signal? A signal that instructs every room to organize around your rhythm. If rooms can be trained, then outcomes can be trained too. And if outcomes can be trained, why would you ever enter a race? Why race on tracks built by others when you can build the clocks? The question is simple and dangerous. Are you ready to stop winning contests and start writing time? You think winning means proving, but proof is the currency of the insecure. The silent mind never fights for position because position follows stability. Listen closely. The real contest happens before the crowd even arrives. The moment you react, you join someone else's frame. Frames are invisible rules that decide who explains and who defines. The one explaining has already lost tempo. Quiet power never explains. It redefines context so others adjust automatically. This is not manipulation. It is design through rhythm. You are not controlling people. You are controlling the tempo that controls people. The secret is non-engagement as leverage. Most minds equate silence with weakness, but silence is selective warfare. You let noise burn itself out, then speak only when equilibrium returns. Every unnecessary reaction drains emotional capital. And emotional capital is the true currency of authority. The calm mind spends it slowly, the reactive mind spends it all at once. When you respond rarely, each response doubles in value. Quiet strategy follows the law of energy conservation. Never invest power where outcome depends on ego. Ego competitions are infinite because ego never feels finished. You win by refusing games that have no endpoint. Instead, you build asymmetry, where your smallest act changes their largest structure. Asymmetry is not about force, it is about direction. Direction begins with awareness of incentives. If you understand what rewards your opponent seeks, you can deny it without visible conflict. Denial of reward ends more battles than confrontation ever will. Next, understand the psychology of invisible timing. Loud competitors strike at first tension, but real strategists wait for decay. Decay is the moment when attention fades, but systems remain vulnerable. You strike softly then, with structure, not aggression. Timing works like gravity. It needs no speed, only placement. Every delay adds weight to your next move. People misread patience as passivity. But patience is compression. It stores pressure quietly until release is decisive. Your timing will feel supernatural because others act while you measure. Practice detached observation. Observation separates stimulus from story, reaction from reason. You see through tone, not into tone. Tone tells you where ego hides and where control can be recovered. When someone raises volume, they are asking for emotional partnership. You deny that partnership politely through stillness. Stillness makes them confront their own noise. That mirror breaks illusions faster than any argument can. You must master the art of strategic invisibility. Invisibility means presence without pattern. Patterns are what predators target and what manipulators exploit. You appear when contribution is leverage and vanish when emotion dominates. This vanishing creates scarcity. Scarcity is social gravity. People begin preparing more carefully before they meet you. Their tone adjusts automatically, and respect grows without request. Each absence sharpens your presence until it feels ceremonial. You are not absent, you are calculating distance as a boundary. Develop the discipline of delayed certainty. You do not rush to finalize opinions during conflict. You collect data, you study motives, you test tone, and then decide. Slow decision feels like dominance because speed belongs to desperation. You are not proving intellect, you are conserving credibility. Every accurate conclusion increases your psychological credit limit. Credit builds reputation, and reputation buys compliance without orders. This is why calm people often lead groups without permission. Learn the paradox of soft assertion. Soft assertion means you claim control through composure, not through command. For example, instead of forcing agreement, you define structure of conversation. Say, let us separate emotion from logic before continuing. This phrase recenters hierarchy instantly because you have set the pace. Hierarchy in psychology is tempo, not title. The one who slows tempo owns the discussion. Slow rhythm forces others to process through your frame. Frames built on calmness outlive frames built on noise. Your external calm is meaningless if your internal dialogue screams. The inner voice must speak in neutral language. Never say, I am losing control. Say, I am observing tension rise. Neutral words disconnect emotion from identity. Detachment rewires chemistry. Your body follows the label you choose. This microdiscipline rewrites macroperception. People will feel your balance before you speak it. Their nervous system trusts what it cannot shake. To move without competing, practice controlled ignorance. Ignore irrelevant comparisons and status cues. Comparison is the leash of hidden manipulation. The moment you measure yourself by external scale, you surrender authorship of your frame. Authorship of frame is authorship of power. You protect it by declining the invitation to compete. Every declined invitation saves energy for invisible building. Building in silence accumulates advantage quietly until it looks effortless. The invisible player lives by positional patience. They position first, move later. While others rush for visibility, you design reach. Reach multiplies influence without motion. The difference between rush and reach is clarity. Rush wants validation, reach wants leverage. Validation burns fast, leverage compounds slowly. When you build leverage, competition becomes irrelevant. You are not in their race, you are constructing the terrain. Finally, internalize the law of perceived inevitability. When people start believing you cannot be shaken, they stop trying. Belief reduces resistance faster than force. You build belief through calm repetition of principles. Consistency signals certainty, and certainty builds the illusion of permanence. In psychology, permanence equals leadership. This is how quiet authority outlasts loud ambition. So remember, every open competition is an invitation to reveal rhythm. Once rhythm is known, prediction begins and prediction erases power. You will not fight in the light, you will redesign the shadows. From there, your silence becomes direction, your pauses become decisions, and your restraint becomes the loudest signal in the room. But there is one deeper question you have not asked yet. If silence, patience, and structure create authority, then what unseen element makes them magnetic instead of merely distant? What gives stillness its pull, not just its peace? To find that answer, you must understand the hidden law of emotional gravity, the force that makes people move toward the quietest mind in the room. You think magnetism comes from charm, but real pull comes from emotional gravity. Gravity is not loud. It bends space quietly until everything moves toward it. Listen carefully. What people call influence is often just emotional stillness disguised as mystery. Emotional gravity forms when your energy field feels safer than the environment. Safety here means predictable rhythm under unpredictable tension. When your reactions stay consistent, people's nervous systems relax. They begin to trust your stability more than their own instincts. And trust built through calm regulation becomes obedience without demand. You are not controlling them, their biology is aligning to you. Humans follow what regulates them fastest. The louder mind depends on reaction, the quieter mind rewires rhythm. Your stillness becomes gravity because chaos looks for something stable to orbit. The weaker person always adjusts tempo first. And tempo adjustment is silent submission in biological form. To master emotional gravity, you must understand energy hierarchy. Energy hierarchy is not dominance, it is control of emotional economy. Low energy is contagious, high energy is expensive, neutral energy is sustainable. Most people swing between exhaustion and outburst. You will stay in neutral rhythm, calm, aware, responsive, measured. Neutral rhythm becomes emotional oxygen in chaotic systems. People breathe through your tone because your tone defines tempo. That is how emotional gravity forms, consistency under unpredictable stimuli. Next, observe the law of resonance before persuasion. You cannot persuade what you have not stabilized. Resonance happens when your energy meets theirs without merging. You reflect their tone once softly, then lower yours by half. The brain mirrors stability unconsciously, so they calm to match your state. Once calm exists, logic can land. Before that, words are wasted. So influence begins not in language, but in nervous system synchronization. Your emotional field must stay clean of residue. Residue forms when you carry the emotion of one moment into another. This transfers tension to neutral spaces, corrupting your gravity. You must reset between interactions, deep breath, relaxed jaw, silent pause. Each reset recenters your field, restoring neutrality as baseline. This neutrality becomes the unspoken message, I am safe to follow. Safety is not weakness, it is control that feels like peace. And peace, when rare, becomes irresistible. To maintain gravity, practice the rule of non-absorption. Absorption means you take ownership of others' chaos to prove strength. True power lets chaos pass through without retention. When someone projects anxiety, you do not block it, you slow it. Slowing emotion lowers voltage until energy dissolves naturally. The world will keep sending you waves. Your mastery is in not becoming the water. Those who cannot absorb you begin orbiting you. Use emotional asymmetry in conflicts. Conflicts look equal when both sides invest emotion equally. You will invest structure instead of emotion. Structure means pace, data, clarity, and tone regulation. When the other side keeps increasing intensity, your calm begins to feel like authority, even if you say little. Eventually, they must match your rhythm to continue. Matching rhythm is quiet surrender. They now operate inside your gravity. Your tone is the carrier wave of your power. Even when words are neutral, tone decides meaning. Speak slower than emotion, lower than volume, firmer than doubt. Low tone lowers heart rates. Lowered heart rates create compliance unconsciously. Compliance feels voluntary because it happens below awareness. You did not manipulate, you regulated. Regulation is the invisible leadership that people feel but cannot explain. The strongest layer of gravity is detachment from emotional ownership. You do not fix others' moods, you simply refuse to mirror them. Your refusal creates reflection, and reflection forces awareness in them. Awareness converts reaction into accountability. They begin moderating themselves to protect access to your calm. This is how emotional gravity trains others without verbal instruction. You are not teaching them, their biology is teaching itself through your state. Observe this final law of magnetic presence: stillness creates projection. People project strength or wisdom onto whatever remains unreactive. Your stillness becomes their canvas. They will imagine confidence, foresight, control, all because you stayed unreadable. Projection works faster than persuasion, because imagination fills silence quicker than logic. The less you explain, the more they assign meaning. And the meaning they assign usually serves your authority. So remember, the quietest person in the room is not invisible. They are being studied by every nervous system seeking regulation. The less you compete, the more others align. Because competition breaks rhythm, but rhythm builds gravity. Gravity decides orbit, and orbit decides hierarchy. You rise not by pushing, but by holding still when others scatter. But there is another hidden layer beneath gravity. Even gravity can collapse if your core belief is built on reaction. What if your inner world still needs validation to remain calm? Can you hold stillness when silence offers no recognition? The next law will show you how invisible power survives without attention. The law of quiet certainty, where composure no longer depends on being seen. You think silence means absence, but silence is the purest form of control. When attention disappears, most people collapse inside uncertainty. But the one who stays still inside that silence becomes unshakable. Quiet certainty is the final form of invisible power. It does not come from knowing everything, it comes from needing nothing. When you no longer need to be seen, believed, or rewarded, your calm becomes impossible to corrupt. You stop chasing validation because your authority lives inside self-regulation. And once authority no longer depends on approval, it becomes permanent. Every open competitor depends on audience response. Their rhythm rises and falls with external noise. Your rhythm stays steady because it belongs to internal order. This order is built through repetition of neutrality under tension. You stop asking, "How do they see me?" and start asking, "Is my structure intact right now?" Structure is stronger than style because style changes with attention. Your structure, tone, breath, pace, discipline remains the same through pressure. And sameness is the one thing the human brain trusts completely. Quiet certainty begins with emotional detachment from recognition. Recognition feels rewarding because it mirrors your own validation hunger. But hunger reveals dependence, and dependence invites control. The moment you need to be recognized, your composure belongs to others. Detachment removes this lever permanently. When you can function without being acknowledged, you become unlimited. You are not cold, you are free. Freedom from external rhythm is the highest currency of power. This state allows you to enter a paradoxical field, influence through absence. When you no longer seek attention, your absence gains weight. People notice when you withdraw because they feel the stability leaving. Your silence becomes louder than their arguments. Your restraint becomes evidence of inner mastery. And in their confusion, they start regulating themselves in your direction. This is how non-competition becomes dominance disguised as balance. The second layer of quiet certainty is timeless reaction. Ordinary minds operate on urgency. Powerful minds operate on sequence. Sequence means you act when the wave is descending, not when it is peaking. Peaks belong to emotion, descents belong to clarity. You will stop reacting to intensity and start responding to pattern. Pattern recognition turns chaos into forecast, and forecast turns fear into advantage. The one who predicts tension never has to compete with it. You are no longer fighting events, you are shaping rhythm itself. Quiet certainty also demands non-attachment to image. Image is the mask that consumes every performer. You do not protect image, you protect equilibrium. Equilibrium does not need costume, it needs consistency. Your image will build itself around your calm naturally. People will assign labels, wise, confident, mysterious, but you will not claim them. Because claiming breaks the illusion, and illusion multiplies influence. You will let others write your reputation, while you write the structure they depend on. The strongest part of quiet certainty is energy compression. You gather instead of scatter, you observe instead of display. Gathered energy feels dense, and density reads as depth. Depth is what people interpret as intelligence, even when you say little. You no longer push presence outward, you pull presence inward. The inward pull creates gravitational tension. And that tension attracts attention without you moving an inch. The most magnetic person is the one who never reaches first. Next comes the rule of no emotional debt. You will resolve every inner argument before it leaks into action. Unpaid emotion becomes residue that blurs tone, posture, and word choice. People read that residue subconsciously and mirror your disorder. Clearing inner noise daily keeps your field stable. A stable field creates reliability, and reliability feels divine in unstable worlds. When people find stability near you, they confuse it for strength, and their minds begin to orbit your stillness for safety. This is the final state of the non-competitor. You no longer chase outcomes, you design conditions. You no longer fight perception, you manage energy. You no longer correct people, you demonstrate rhythm. Every silent correction is more persuasive than 1,000 explanations. Because energy obeys consistency, not persuasion. You win by existing in a way that disarms opposition naturally. Understand the last paradox. To gain total influence, you must release the need to influence. Pressure disappears, tension dissolves, and your state becomes clarity. Clarity is contagious. It travels faster than charisma. Your steadiness becomes guidance without instruction. People start reorganizing behavior before you even speak. They call it respect, admiration, sometimes fear, but it is simply calibration. So the manual ends where it began. You rise not by showing force, but by removing competition from your existence. Your power is not in your words, but in your pace. Your pace teaches others what cannot be said. Your calm is the quiet proof of design. Your silence is the signal that order already exists. And now you know the truth few ever reach. The most powerful person is not the loudest, not the fastest, not the one constantly seen, but the one who never competes openly, because they already decided the outcome long before the game began.